All right, and we are good to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar here, Winning in the New Normal, the F&B edition. My name is Alf. I'm the CEO of Foodrazer, and I'm joined today by Jansen from StaffAny and by Kenneth from Talenox. I'll let them introduce themselves in just 1 second. Just wanted to give everyone a bit of a sense of what will be happening today. We're going to have a fairly casual conversation just to talk a little bit about what we have learned about the F&B industry in the last year and a bit since we got hit by the coronavirus pandemic. All three of us work to support restaurants with different digital tools. StaffAny and Talenox obviously worked more on the staffing side of things. FoodRazor works a bit more on the food costing side, both of which are hugely important to the restaurant industry. We'll see what we have learned in the last 15 to 18 months, and any insights that might be helpful to anyone in the F&B industry, especially in Singapore, but perhaps anyone tuning in from abroad might be able to get some benefit from this chat as well. I'll be moderating the discussion a little bit, but we want to keep it fairly casual. That said, if any of you have any questions at any moment, please just drop it in the chat or Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer them on the go or at the end of each section. Just to introduce everyone a little bit, like I said, my name is, I'll start with myself. My name is Alf, the CEO of FoodRazor. At FoodRazor, we help F&Bs with their invoice management and the order management. We take all the vendor invoices, we digitize them item by item, send it straight to your accounting software, and with the product and supplier list that we are able to build from those invoices, we streamline that ordering system very, very quickly and very, very easily for you, so that rather than having 15 different processes or 15 different ways from managing your invoices and suppliers, you can just do it all from one platform. Like I said, I'm joined by Jansen, who is one of the co-founders of StaffAny. Jansen, can I get you to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Jansen, co-founder of StaffAny. And fun fact, like you guys, I used to be an operator in the food and beverage scene before. I used to manage a bar. I did everything from menu to invoices to hiring to payroll to cleaning the toilet. So I've been there in the F&B space, the same shoes as many of you guys over here. Right now, I'm leading the team at StaffAny, and what we do is we help with labor management and cost optimization of your labor force. Now, in terms of running an F&B, labor costs, rent, food costs, these are like three main components. So we hope to at least help you guys reduce one big component, which is the labor cost side of things, and help you guys focus more on doing the right thing and make time for what matters. So nice to meet everybody.
Fantastic, thanks Jansen. And we also have Kenneth, who manages the partnerships over at Talenox. Hi Kenneth.
Hi guys, I'm Kenneth. I'm from Talenox. We are a cloud-based HR platform that allows F&B companies to quickly process their payroll and also manage their leave quite quickly, all the while still remaining compliant to the region's statutory rules and all. So we started in Singapore a few years back, and now we've expanded to Hong Kong and Malaysia to help SMEs and F&Bs over there as well. So for Talenox, we actually help to cut down a lot of the back-end admin time, right? The amount of time spent on all the back-end admin work when it comes to payroll. So hopefully this webinar might be helpful in allowing you to see how the digital solutions can actually help your whole back-end. Yeah.
Wonderful, thanks Kenneth. A little bit more introduction about this webinar. We were actually inspired to have this webinar when the heightened restrictions came. Jansen and I were in the middle of a meeting, as it were, when the news came in, and we were like, oh my God, can't believe it's happening again. And the timing of this webinar couldn't be even more interesting, just because maybe 20 minutes ago the news came in that we're finally opening up to 5 people for in dining. So It's coming on, it's coming off, and we're a little bit uncertain about what will be happening next, right? Things are looking pretty positive. We've learned quite a few things as a nation overall, but specifically in the F&B industry, and open question for both Jansen and Kenneth. What have you guys learned about how has the coronavirus, first of all, affected the F&B industry in Singapore, and what are some of the lessons that you have learned as a business, right? So before talking about the restaurants themselves, how have you guys had to adapt to the pandemic and the opening and closing of business here?
Kenneth, you want to go first?
Maybe you go first. Yeah, just to kickstart because of experience. Yeah.
I might have a more lengthy sharing on that, on how the impact have been for the F&B industry. I think it's pretty apparent that F&B industry is one of the hardest hit as compared to many others. There are a lot of restrictions to stem the spread of COVID through things like dining restrictions, reduced in operating hours, adjustments in like the environment of no music playing, and alcohol license getting cut short and all. In fact, when we look at the Department of Statistics in Singapore, when we look at the report published by Singapore Department of Statistics, the circuit breaker resulted in the F&B sales volume to drop to 49.8% of what it usually is. So that's like a half kind of impact that we see through COVID or through the lockdown. However, right now, we just kind of overcame the phase 2 heightened measure, and during this period of time, this 5 weeks, the latest report by the Department of Statistics as well indicated that currently we are only at 72.9% of that level of F&B sales. So many of us in the F&B industry is still severely impacted by the pandemic, very much and large, despite us trying to innovate, trying to do things like delivery, trying to do things like takeout and all. So, to directly answer the elephant in the room, right? All of us are impacted, all of us are very much affected. But there are success stories, and there are people that thrive in this new normal and won in this new normal from some of our customers and our friends and adults as well. So I would love to share more about it, but I'll pass some time to Kenneth as well. But yeah, all of us are very, very affected, but there's definitely some people that are winners and some people that have been severely affected by the pandemic. Kenneth, over to you for some sharing.
Thanks, Jansen. All right, so basically for us, ours goes back a little bit more to the start of the circuit breaker, right? So last year when the government announced that there was going to be a circuit breaker from April all the way to like June, and then things will start, opening up slowly, we realized that in fact a lot of F&B businesses were actually based in the office. They were utilizing pen and paper, Excel spreadsheets, and all these, on-premise and slow legacy softwares that was very, very slow for them, and they realized they couldn't use all these anymore, right? Because the back-end business operations were affected by COVID, and they really had to digitize and switch. So a lot of the F&B company owners that we talked to, right, they actually quickly went out in search of digital solutions that can help them, like StaffAny, Talenox, Foodrazer, and a lot of them adapted pretty quickly, right? And although revenue was certainly hit, right, because of the whole reduced customer flow and all things. There was a long-term cost savings for them, and all the time on admin was actually cut down when they switched from legacy to cloud. But I know there are, like Jensen said, there are success stories, right, and there were also cases of where some of our customers, because of this whole pandemic, right, they were either forced to cease business operations and drop off, or they had to switch to the Talenox free plan just to stay afloat. But definitely with the reopening, the recent announcement and all, I do hope that things will get back to.
Oh,
Kind of is a bit choppy on that. I bet it's hopefully back to normal, right? Kind of, you're trying to say that.
Yeah, so it's definitely back to normal. So I think my Wi-Fi is a bit wonky today, yeah. But definitely, I think things are getting back to normal, right, with the reopening. But it will be a new normal for everybody already.
Yeah. So Kenneth, if you don't mind, let me come into I want you to paint me a clearer picture, because you said during COVID they had to digitize. Why did COVID force people, or why did that encourage people to digitize? What about it?
Yeah, I think it's more of the, during before COVID, everybody was in the office. They were just like, nothing is going to happen. We can just use whatever we have. But the moment COVID started and everybody had to work from home, right? We're not talking about the restaurant itself. That means I'm talking about the office staff for the restaurants. They realized that a lot of the softwares that they used to use, couldn't be used elsewhere. It could only be used in the office, and that's when they actually were forced to go out, and forced to digitize because of the situation. But of course, I think for Jensen, he'll be better able to comment on that, especially with regards to the restaurants and the F&B locations because of his software solutions. Jensen, what do you think about that? Like, what made them go out and digitize further?
Yeah, I think that when the impact first hit, right, is for those people that are prepared for, great, right? You can capitalize on that opportunity. But those people that are not, I do think that everybody is trying their best to react to the new normal and adopt technology and solutions. So of course, the most important thing that every business have adopted at the start of that whole wave was revenue generating initiatives. So whether it's enabling e-commerce, delivery, whatsoever, takeout, you're making sure the infrastructure is all in place. However, I just want to add a point of view over here that I feel what we observe, the people that do really, really well are those that both equip themselves with revenue generating initiative and also cost reduction initiative. If we look at the recently reported financial statements of the listed companies on SGX, many of them still manage to report some form of operating profits of the last financial year. A huge relation of that is due to, of course, the JSS as well as the government intervention and credit rebates and all. But also a huge part of it, as part that they mentioned, is job restructuring, adjusting of that spend, adjusting of the labor spend, adjusting of that food spend, right, specifically. So that cost optimization is a huge game changer in an industry that's already so razor thin in margins and
I find that the two go together because that cost optimization usually is, we're talking about time, right? Like we see it as a cost, but at some point we are talking about hours put into like previously manual offline processes. And when you unlock that time, you're able to kind of divert that time to innovation, right? Which is like, how am I going to create new revenue channels? How am I going to develop that takeout or that product that I can now sell rather than have to rely on dining only?
Right. So yeah, a fun fact for sharing is that actually during the time between circuit breaker and the reopening, when dining out is still not allowed, StaffAny actually managed to onboard some of our largest customers, some cafe chains, coffee chains that have 20, 30 outlets, and in fact, two of those kind of brand names were fully implemented, and they capitalized on that opportunity to roll out such a solution like ours. So it really depends on that business, on how they take advantage of digitalization and how they want to capitalize on the opportunities at hand to grow the business. So yeah, Alf, over to you on your side. How's any observation from Foodrazor's point of view?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess we're not. We do deal with a separate part of costs in the restaurant scene, but it's the same concept, right? I think the first reaction when we went to talk to them was freeze all spending.
Right.
Like, do not move, right? Don't do anything. Let's see what happens. But then it's just proved to be unsustainable.
Right.
Because especially now where then we opened up and then we closed a little bit and then a little bit more and then on and off and on and off. If you're not able to adapt, then you're really going to be stuck in the past. And we've learned so much in the last few weeks about the restaurants that really succeeded or that have really come out ahead have been the ones that have been able to innovate. And I think that really comes down to revenue generation, but also just having that mindset of trying new things that is going to allow your business to survive a little bit more healthily. And on that note, I'm wondering, you mentioned earlier, Jensen, about the success stories. Are you able to share some success stories that you know of?
Right. So most recently, we did a case study with the guys that run Pezzo, Crave, Nasi Lemak, the kiosk concepts around most of the malls. So they were also one of the early adopters of StaffAny during that phase of the uncertain time, right? And the implementation of that was actually throughout the entire concept, the entire group. And with that, we did a recent chat with the HR lead, Nini, and she had a case study on our website, which we can share later, on how much we actually managed to help reduce costs, reduce work, so that she can focus a lot more on other parts of the business that requires more of her attention. So I will be more than happy to share the case study in the chat later for anybody to want to click onto it. But yeah, it's an example, the guys at Pezzo, Crave Nasi Lemak, the same group, actually benefited a lot by freeing up the time to do other things that matter.
That's huge. And it must, I mean, on that note, how big is this group, and do you think those savings are like uniform across, like regardless of the size of your business, or are the bigger ones, are the bigger companies going to be more, or benefit more from something like this?
I think that definitely if you're a larger organization, you reap a larger benefit from it. But even at the small organization level, whether you run one single outlet of business and you as a business owner is the operator as well, that frees up significant amount of time. So on our case, we do serve not only the big chains, but also independent, individually owned and run businesses. So another case study that we have that we help create space and time is with the guys with like Forward Coffee. So they actually run like 3-4 cafes right now, and I hope they're growing and surviving well and thriving well in this new normal. And for them, for example, of course, we came in earlier before that pandemic, and with that, we helped them save time, increase productivity and all. But one thing that I would like to shout out about their business is that they managed to reinvent some new revenue streams. So during the lockdown circuit breaker, they managed to launch really things like delivery of drinks, subscription of coffee, gift packs, really a whole suite of non-on-site kind of products. And I thought that was really inspiring, and being able to adapt to the new normal, really kudos to the team at Forward Coffee.
Yeah, I mean, it really, I don't think that alone, I suspect that alone will not be able to bring you back to that revenue level that you had before. But I think diversifying those revenue streams is really going to diversify your risk as well. Right. That's great. And from Kenneth, I mean, you guys are definitely have a much wider footprint worldwide. Do you have any success stories either from Singapore or from like around the area that you're able to share?
I guess I wouldn't really call them like success stories. More of the sudden need for them to suddenly come aboard. So, but we did realize a certain pattern. Not too sure about StaffAny and Foodrazer, but for us, smaller F&B outlets, right, or smaller F&B companies, were actually easier to have their backend all change immediately because of the small size, right? So they could quickly make the snap decisions, and come on board within like maybe say a month or two. But when we talk about the bigger organizations, like maybe say coffee companies with 30, 40 outlets, like similar to Jensen's case, it took a little longer because they had a lot of data to go through and to actually kind of like migrate. So I guess all in all, success stories are there, but there will also definitely be those, and we do have some F&Bs that they realized that they needed to change and they tried to come on board, right? But unfortunately, it was a mix of circumstances as well as that timing and all. So in the midst of trying to come on board, their companies had to shutter their operations. So it's quite a diverse range of stories. So user stories or success stories, we have them, but it's really a mix for everybody. But how about Foodrazer? Like in this case, like how about your success stories?
I think for us, a little bit of what you just said now, Kenneth, kind of resonates. A digital tool like ours isn't going to save your business like by itself.
Yes,
it's not, right? It's supposed to help. For us, the value proposition really is, number one, that we are able to really improve on the efficiencies of your operations, and two, that you're able to gain greater visibility on your business, right? For example, so at Foodrazer, we digitize those vendor invoices at such a detailed level that we are able to provide information on what your spending is for each ingredient, each category of ingredients, and so on. And that's powerful, provided you do something with it, right? You might not have that visibility before, but even just having that visibility alone isn't going to necessarily like save your business if you're not willing to act on it. This is actually a little bit of the direction we're trying to take moving forward, is helping, being a slightly more proactive in helping those business owners make those decisions. As the quality of our data improves and as we keep growing, we're able to say things like, oh, it looks like prices in this category of ingredients is going to increase. You might want to, and here's the menu of options you might want to consider, like changing your menu a little bit, changing your prices, maybe not. Changing your vendor, or rejigging certain things so that you are still maintaining as much of that margin as you'd like to have. Generally, my experience, and perhaps anyone from Foodrazer tuning in can drop something in the comments, is that businesses who knew they were going to be okay and who knew they were going to grow knew that before coming on to Foodrazer.
Yep.
So, and things have gone like as planned. Reluctant to name some of them, but they said, look, we've got 3 locations today. They came on in December, and they're like, and around Q2, we'll be opening our fourth location. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, sure, like, good luck. But that's exactly what happened, right? They knew, they believed, I guess they had a strong business plan, and adopting a digital solution like Foodrazer was just part of that plan.
I just want to add over here that a mentor once told me that we always look at people being successful and people capitalizing on the new normal and still opening more outlets and doing better. And sometimes you talk about luck. Hey, they are like super lucky, and like something is it's just like stroke of luck, right? But I just want to share over here that what that mentor told me about is that what seems to be by chance or luck is actually opportunity hitting someone that's prepared. So what I mean over here by being prepared is when you have done things like your back of house management, whether it's inventory, whether it's labor, whether it's HR, whichever of these 3 elements, or even things like communication. I think Luck is over here today, and they are a communication platform that is really key in terms of teams and all. That makes you ready, all right, to capitalize on any opportunities. And now, don't get me wrong. I think that COVID was tough. It was a crisis. It was something that caused many people to have detrimental impact, in terms of business and survivability and all. But at the same time, it's also an opportunity that arises for people to go into different products, revenue, business concepts, and innovate and to do something different as well. So as what Elf mentioned, we do also have anecdotally, and we are not going to name names on that for privacy reason, of customers that actually grew, expanded, took up new locations through the course of that reopening after the circuit breaker. So we do see that, and I think that a huge part of that is the DNA of the team that adopts innovation, technology, preparedness, both at the front of the revenue side of things, at the cost side of things, and comprehensive side of things as a company to go to the next level. So I just want to comment on that out.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think something that you just mentioned about innovation, we've been talking about the innovation from our customers, from the restaurants and the cafes out there. But I believe we've also had to innovate quite a bit so that we could stay in business. We are young startups, and I find that on the one hand, it's quite nice being in this space right now because we're really able to help those customers because we tend to have a kind of a closer proximity to those customers, and we understand very clearly, or a bit more clearly, what it is that they want, and their demands can be heard a little bit more, at least with us. So I'm wondering, how have you guys innovated in the last 18 months? Like maybe some changes in the direction of the product, or some new features that you guys rolled out that you didn't expect to be rolling out so soon?
So maybe I'll share first. In StaffAny's context in Singapore, when the circuit breaker happened, we did 2 main improvements to our product to help the F&B and our client base especially. The first we did was that we think that everybody had to do our part in order to keep the cases low, to prevent the spread of the virus. So we invested time and effort to do innovation in the space of compliance. And we were first few people that built the bridge and integration with things like safe entry, trace together, temperature taking forms and such things, such that business owners business operators will have a peace of mind. They know that we got their back and they don't have to worry on the administrative front while they continue to fight the fire in front of them, which is how do I get more customers coming in right now. So that's one of the things that we did in the last 18 months, especially in the peak of Singapore's circuit breaker. But right now, recently, because StaffAny is also a regional player, we are doing similar things for the friends in Malaysia. So just last month, we launched that integration with Malaysia's version of Trace Together, My Sagittara. I apologize if I pronounce it wrongly, but it's also to help with that contact tracing effort and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So we hope that through our part, we allow not only the businesses play our part, but also reduce the COVID numbers eventually and do a little bit more apart from just what we normally do, which is labor cost management. But yeah, that's what we did. Feel free to ask me.
Yeah, that's quite cool actually. I remember seeing you guys launch something that actually helped a lot, and then we were at Talenox, we were like, wow, this is quite amazing, like really kudos to the whole StaffAny team for doing it. Yeah. I guess for Talenox and in terms of innovation, because to be honest, pandemic or not, whether or not there's COVID or there's SARS or any other kinds of viruses, right? Payroll is still something that needs to be done. Employees still need to be paid at the end of the month, and this whole thing, right, actually led us to actually wonder and try to keep improving upon our product, make it faster, make it easier to use, add the features. So what we did during those past few months, right, last year, was to the moment the virus hit, everybody started working from home. But at the same time, we started reaching out to a lot of our F&B users, right? And we spoke to them. We said, "Hey, how's everything? Are there things that we can do to help you out?" Right? And that's where we came up with this Talenox Cares initiative that kind of like pushed up all these F&B offerings. Right? We tried to reach out to as many of them, and we hope that a lot of them came on board. So there were quite a few, and we reached out to them, and we actually helped to push their services, saying, "Hey, look, right, there is the virus right here, but don't worry. Right, we're trying to make life seem as normal as we can." So we try to push up this initiative. So we push out all these offerings, all these deals from all our friends and users, right, who were in the F&B line to actually help their businesses and all, right? So definitely in terms of the innovation, I wouldn't say it's to the point, like it's to the extent like StaffAny where it really changed some of the, or whether it kind of leveled the playing field and it really like helped a lot of people. But for us, we're just hunkered down a little bit, and we just keep doing more of what we do to help as many people as we can. Yeah.
Awesome. I guess for us at Foodrazer, what we mostly were, what we focused on quite a bit, especially towards the beginning or the end of last year, was in reducing our own costs, right? So we were mentioning earlier about controlling or helping businesses control their costs, but we were able to do the same as well. And we're talking about small things that start reducing the costs and start increase our margin. What does that mean? It means that we can be a little bit more flexible with our customers, right? So it's like the conversation regarding price is obviously going to be an important one, but it should not be a deterrent, especially during this time. Like, we really believe in the benefits that our customers can get from our product, from our platform. So, we can be a little bit more flexible during this time to make sure that they can onboard with us and they can reap those benefits early on. But otherwise, we tend to really listen to the demands of our customers. So and that's one of the, I really love being in this kind of environment where customers can come up to us and say, "Hey, Alf, we want to be able to upload our emails by invoice. Like, you're making us, upload a PDF or take a picture on the phone. That's great, but like, it's already in my inbox as a PDF. Can't I just forward it?" And we're like, "Okay, that makes sense." And so we do that. There's always the question of, is this feature going to be useful for everyone? But then, you roll it out and it doesn't get immediate uptake, but now slowly we're starting to see people get more and more comfortable with that. So, For us, in terms of features, well, of course, we have a product roadmap, we all do, but we're always very, very eager to listen to what customers think is going to be helpful for them. And in a sense, that can be kind of the best kind of customer, right? The one that is giving you strong feedback saying, I love this, I hate this. That's also good feedback, right? They're like, this part, you think it's great, you keep talking about it, but I don't need it. And then you learn to well, maybe prioritize that a little bit less. So in terms of just focusing particularly on HR and staffing, I was actually attending this conference a couple of weeks ago, Hospitality Unites over in Australia, and the whole conversation was about digital tools in F&B, but a big part of the conversation was actually about staffing. Like that was kind of the biggest thing. A lot of people had to get let go. They were struggling. Now that things were opening, they were struggling to get people back in. We've seen a lot of headlines as well, especially coming from the US, of people not wanting to go back to that service industry. I'm wondering, Jensen, are you able to shed any light about that, or Kenneth as well, and from what you guys have seen in terms of staffing? Have those challenges been the same here in Singapore, or have there been other challenges?
Maybe on my side, what our observations with our partners is that staffing is getting more and more difficult in terms of finding the right people. In the world of food and beverage and the service industry, talent has always been difficult to find. Some of the stricter measures, especially during the circuit breaker period, with regards to employment, foreign employment and stuff like that, will take a toll on the hiring patterns of the food and beverage industry. So anecdotally, when we talk to the HR professionals that are very close to us, more often than not, a lot of times they are looking for introductions, asking for if you know anybody that can perform this role. Can you help me with this? Is there any opportunities in that area? So definitely hiring will be a big problem. And it's also a part that in Singapore, where we operate in right now, it's unfortunate, right, that it's an industry that has a shortage of people that wants to work over here. And that results in that whole imbalance. So definitely, it's not only it's bad from the start, and then it gets exacerbated after the whole COVID pandemic, where people are a bit more wary about health and safety and everything. And right now, as a whole, it's just difficult to find people. So I do empathize. But what we do hope to see eventually is that first, just like inflation that you can't stop, right? It's just gonna always happen every single year, right? It's just your money's gonna be less powerful, right? Labor cost is just going to go up. I don't see a world in the future where labor costs will go down. And that's why there is a huge requirement for businesses to be much smarter in terms of how they are more productive with their labor force. Now, let me share with you an example. When we look at businesses like Japan Food Holdings, which is a listed company in the Singapore Exchange, and we compare it with like sit-down restaurants like No Signboard and Jumbo Seafood, you do see that the cost structure is very different because one of them is a little bit more quick service and the other one is a lot more sit-down restaurant. But what we see over there is the percentage of spend on salaries, on wages, being significantly different on both of these type of business models. So what I'm trying to share over here is that the big problem that we cannot solve is the rising wages and the difficulty of hiring people. But what we can do as business owners is to innovate and to restructure and to think a little bit more on the productivity angle and do more with less. So hopefully, a tool like, for us, we have some features to help with sales versus labor cost ratioing, and to know that whether you're under or over scheduling for your shift will help you make better decisions across that period. So yeah, sorry for a mouthful, but hopefully that gives some insight.
This is great. Yeah, go ahead, Kenneth.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, I agree, Jensen, that definitely it's hard to find talent, especially not just in F&B, but across all the industries. So on our end, we have seen a subtle fall, not a drastic fall, but a subtle fall in the number of headcounts, especially when it comes to several F&B companies, because they needed to consolidate their costs, lower it, make sure that the business can continue. But then after that whole, I would call it the emergency phase is over, and they want to get them back. The problem is, like Jensen said, it's all about finding the right kind of people, right? So a lot of these F&B companies that we spoke to, they actually let go a lot of their staff that were eventually had to go back to their country. They could be from other countries and all. And because of this, it makes it very difficult, with all the travel restrictions. They can't come in. Nobody can come in, right? Nobody can go out. So, they are stuck there. They're like, okay, I need to run my business. I need people to run my business, but I cannot find people at all. And on top of that, the hiring process can also sometimes take ages because either, it can be like somebody applying and not replying, or they're too busy with everything. So definitely quite a huge impact in terms of the whole hiring process. So like Jason says, I do hope that all this can slowly recover, and everybody can sort of like find the right people for their teams in the future. Yeah.
Have you guys seen any changes in the type of roles or like how the roles are distributed? So one of the ideas is that as businesses are innovating their business models or adding new revenue streams, you need relatively fewer, let's say, front of house staff, and you need more like social media gurus or someone who can do your data analytics or kind of different roles that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the F&B industry, but that are now like becoming more important because you have these additional streams.
Yeah, I think definitely there has been a kind of like I'm not sure what to call it. I call it more like diversification of roles. Like okay, so for me, I'm not as deep experience in the restaurant scene as Jensen, but recently, right, I use Instagram, social media, and lately because of COVID, there has been a lot of social media posts. People are buying ads, they're showcasing their food, or saying, hey, this is an offer that we have, come and join us. And all these weren't present before, right? And then of course, I spoke to a few friends that I had who work in the F&B line for some of these F&B companies, and they mentioned that because of all these, we kind of had to take on more roles, right? And to like both of you put forth earlier, like find revenue generating channels, and somehow social media, with everybody on Instagram, Facebook nowadays, right? It's easier to actually use these tools to actually come and go out and find more sources of revenue. So in terms of that, I guess definitely there has been a diversification, and also some. I have had the pleasure. This isn't really Talenox related, but I've had the pleasure, ordering food delivery, only to have the owner of the restaurant himself, making the delivery and saying, "Hey, thanks for ordering from us. Thank you so much. Here's something for you. Here's something extra." And it really goes to show that everybody is trying to do everything they can, right, to either make the business stay afloat or even make it go no further. And because of that, I have become a regular. I wouldn't say regular, but I order from that restaurant once a month just to show support. And I always have a chat with that guy every time he drops by. So yeah.
I mean, do you want to give a shout out? Do you remember who they are?
It's just a Chinese restaurant. It's just a Chinese restaurant that's near my place. I don't really know what to call it because I can't read the Chinese characters. But there's some they call it the Zi Cha store, right, near my place. So after a while, I just gotten to know the owner. He's quite a nice guy. Yeah. So I'll just keep ordering from him now because he's a really nice chap. How about you, Jensen? Like any stories on that?
Actually, I'm sharing a opposing view. I think that first, factually, there's going to be more diversification of role. That's 100%, right? There's going to be more demand for marketing, helping with e-commerce, helping with other revenue streams. But I stand on the position that in the nearest future, let's say talk about a 3 to 5 years kind of mark, there is still going to be some minimum latent number of people that you need on site. All right, whether you're reinventing your business and running cloud kitchens, you still need a couple of people in your cloud kitchens. Like you can't go to zero. You still need 2 people per cloud kitchen, for example, or 4 people per cloud kitchen, for example. And even if you move into like a kiosk concept, it is still you need some people. What then becomes more important when this ratio drops is the accuracy and making sure that when things go wrong, for instance, when people have no shows, turn up late, sick, you are able to tap on your remaining pool of labor in a more effective way. So I stand on the other side whereby yes, there's going to be diversification, but there still needs to be a core backbone crew in operations, and that latent crew becomes we reduce the cost as much as we can, but so much so that it becomes so important that the margin of error is low. But using tools like StaffAny, you'll be able to optimize that and react to last minute changes. When there's like a seasonal increase in demand, you can use like some of our features to mass grab your own part-timers for a last minute shift, that kind of stuff, to be more responsive to demand trends of the market. So that's my perspective.
Awesome. And so in this particular scenario or a similar scenario, Jensen, how could StaffAny support that kind of, managing that very knife edge risk, right? Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that we do, again, I mentioned, is that we schedule based on the ratio of your sales projection with your labor ratio. So you know exactly what kind of sales and revenue target you're shooting up for. So for example, every $30 of sale, I should get 1 hour of labor. And these are some benchmarks that fast food chains try to strive towards. And these are like good productive gauge on where you want to hit towards as a business. So what we do at StaffAny, apart from indicating like what Foodrazer does in terms of food price, we indicate the labor costs with relative to sales. The next thing that we help you do is that when you schedule for the minimum crew, if you need last minute grabbing of your part-timers, you don't have to WhatsApp them one by one. In StaffAny, you're able to push a button, and then you can mass grab that pool of part-timers that you really build up for, and they can support you for the shifts that you need people the most.
So it's a first come, first serve kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's one of our key features. You're able to actually tap on your part-timers instantaneously. Yeah, so it gets more fluid in your workforce.
Excellent. And I'm going to try and connect this with a question that we're getting here from KC. So for the larger F&B operations, this is coming in from KC Tang.
Yep.
What sorts of innovation have contributed the most in terms of revenue or profits? I'd say since we're mostly focused on cost, I would say let's keep it maybe in terms of profit, in case there's anything we want to add there. I would say for us, for the bigger F&B operations, as we're starting to break into those larger groups, the operational efficiencies, kind of what Jensen was saying earlier, are incredible. So usually, just talking about invoices, what tends to happen is that a lot of the invoices are uploaded manually. So every restaurant will have a mini stack at the end of the month of invoices that need to be uploaded to the accounting software. And this happens manually, right? And so for a smaller F&B operation, it'll be maybe like one accountant, and every week they go to one of the different locations, pick up the invoices, and then up to the uploading. But for larger F&B operations, it's literally like a row of accountants just doing this manual input. And that is not what you should be like making your accountants do, right? Your accountants, these are highly, highly trained professionals, and you should be making them do something a little bit more high skilled, honestly. Either going into that data, making recommendations, finding ways to cost save additionally, right? So we don't necessarily have to replace those accountants with Foodrazer. I think we, on the other hand, we do the opposite. We empower those people so that they can help us find new ways of reducing costs or streamlining the business further.
Yeah.
So that would be the Foodrazer case. What about over on the staffing side?
I think as mentioned a little bit previously, in terms of the cost optimization side, to increase the profit at the end of the day, we do a lot of that cost optimization and freeing up that productive hours for you to do other things. A key user of the StaffAny application actually is the operational managers as well as the restaurant managers themselves. So by being able to free up their time, they'll be able to spend more effort on other initiatives in terms of revenue generating initiatives as well. So over here, I just want to also answer Casey a little bit, right? That the impact of the food and delivery, for example, as a different channel. People always say that that's the ultimate channel that F&B go into during this period of time because there's no other ways to distribute your product. I just wanted to quote over here that if we look at Old Chunky, which just released their financial statements for 2021, what happened is that in this year alone, right, they increased their revenue from delivery and catering services by $9.5 million. And that is in respect, if you look at their annual revenues, it's usually around 80 something. But let me just do a quick fact check on that. But basically what I'm trying to imply over here is that, yeah, there are things that everybody is trying to do, right? Creating new revenue streams, coming out new product lines, and more things like that. And all these things takes time and effort. So if you're able to allow your team members to focus on those initiatives, I believe you have a higher chance of succeeding in creating more revenue and profit in the long run. So yeah, similar to what Alf mentioned of removing a redundant work.
Yeah, I think that's true. I actually, now that you mention it, I actually recall a conversation I had with Alf, I think about 1 or 2 weeks back, and he actually mentioned that he hated, to do all these admin work at the back end because he spends so much time on that. So imagine that as an F&B owner already, right? You're already trying to ensure a steady flow of customers, right? You're trying to maintain or improve your revenue, and yet you have to spend so much time just trying to do a back end, either trying to coordinate the schedule or trying to grab all the invoices or just on the payroll. So I think that's where all our solutions actually come into play, right? Not payroll, scheduling and invoicing and all that, because by using all these, you actually cut down so much time, right? That like all you guys mentioned, you can actually dedicate that time to other kinds of business activity, right? So one of the examples we actually have was that one of the F&B users that utilized Talenox, right, and StaffAny also, she mentioned that what took us, in her own words, what took us maybe 3 to 5 days, working days a week, like 1 whole working week, right, just to get the payroll done, right, just to coordinate the time sheets and all, right, is now cut down to just 1 day. So imagine, right, from 5 working days cut down to 1 day, that extra 4 days saved can do a lot of things, and we can actually sort of like get them to contribute in terms of business development of how can we cut down other kinds of costs without letting our staff go, or whether how can we improve staff benefits so that they want to continue working here and they want to contribute to the company even further. Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's the same, the time and cost savings for us are similar. So our customers report, between like 10 to 20 hours saved per month on the stupid invoice upload, right? And the ones who are really able to capitalize on the data have reported food cost savings of up to 20%, right? And that's massive. I mean, that's 20% of 30 to 40% of your total cost. I mean, food represents, like almost a third of your total cost. So if you're able to save 20% on that, wow, that's really going to help your margin a lot, especially when you have that additional uncertainty. We've got another question from, I'm going to say this wrong, Dedi Marcus Fang. Do you foresee F&B clients requiring a common unified communication platform that can coexist and complement your solution? I absolutely love this question. I have a lot of strong opinions about it, and I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll give my 2 cents.
On my end, I'll go first. One of our customer that is both Talenox and StaffAny user, I actually is a friend with him on social media as well. So like we connected with him. So on the 29th of June, he mentioned a post, or 30th of June, sorry, he mentioned a post about quote, all right, when you used to receive about 200 to 300 messages in WhatsApp about work, it's totally irritating and annoying because you have a mix of personal and work related in one chat platform. And honestly, I don't like it. On 29th of June, we migrated everything to a super app that is allowing us to sign up under the organization so that we can feel happy about working and stressless when I'm chatting with family and friends on WhatsApp. So over here is a huge testament to that demand or that requirement of actually having dedicated unified communication platform to actually first solve the business problem, right? Because right now, if you look at most businesses, they just use WhatsApp, and it's extremely messy communicating with your own personal life, with professional lives, and whatnot. Whether it should coexist and work with our solutions, I think definitely so. Definitely so, because chat is key, and instead of us building the chat tools, we will need to partner with strong players so that our businesses will be able to communicate better and our efforts will be amplified together as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important, right? Because the F&B clients do require this communication platform. Because like Jensen mentioned, right? Imagine using WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, or WeChat, and you get bombarded by like 300, 400 messages. Like for Talenox alone, last time we actually were on WhatsApp, and we didn't exactly have another channel for work. right? And then after a while, we started realizing that things started getting very confusing. It started getting, your phone is kind of like just vibrating all the time, right? So after that, we said, no, we can't do this. We're going to have different channels. So we did migrate to Slack afterwards, right? So everything for business is on Slack, and everything personal is now on Signal. So with regards to the unified communication platform that can integrate to our solutions, to my knowledge, I don't think I know of any, but I will be more than happy to kind of explore what we can do together. It's just that for payroll, I'm not too sure how we can actually do that, but I'm sure for StaffAny or Foodrazer, I think it will be much better, especially when Jensen mentioned that you can push a button and all the part-timers get a message. So imagine if there was something right there, that the moment he said something or stuff and he pushes a button, all the part-timers get a message. They can just simply communicate with one another, and sort of discuss with one another. So I think that's something that I think is required, especially in the F&B space, because in terms of coordination and organization, right, it's really a crucial aspect for everybody right there.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. For me also, what's important is not just how you're communicating to your staff, to your suppliers and so on, but how you're communicating across different digital tools, right? It's annoying to have everything on WhatsApp, for example, because of the story that Jansen just told, but it's also kind of annoying to have like 10 different communication platforms for like 10 different things, right? So how I take that and how I think about that for Foodrazer is, we are very good at what we do. But I think I can also see that how for some people it might be not ideal for Foodrazer to be this just like standalone solution that sits there with like 10 other standalone solutions for staffing, for inventory, for sales, for whatever it is. So I think in the future, the best or the strongest products are going to be the ones that are talking to each other, right? They have some sort of integration or are able to share a little bit of that data, so that from the user point of view, it really feels like it's a lot more streamlined and like more unified. And then maybe in terms of communicating with those different stakeholders like your staff and so on, maybe that's happening from each individual product, but from the user, from like the manager or business owner point of view, it really feels more like just one. Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to react to that, but that's definitely something that we're thinking about a lot at Foodrazer right now.
I think there's one more question by David. Alf?
Yeah, so David asks, is there a minimum business size to see advantage from using Foodrazer? Thank you for the question, David. The answer is no. So a lot of the customers we work with are actually SMEs that have anywhere between 1 to 5 locations. The story that we tell really is that the more locations you have, the less visibility you tend to have for each individual location. So, Foodrazer can really help with that in terms of understanding how your expenditures are, but you're still getting massive efficiency gains from just the operational efficiencies that you get from being able to send in the invoices for digitization. So even at the one outlet level, where you might be a little bit more intuitively familiar with cost, you're still going to see those benefits from unlocking all that time that you no longer have to spend on menial admin work. So I think we're good for businesses of any size. Let me take that chance to also ask StaffAny and Talenox. What kind of, is there a typical business size that you work best for, or what kind of range is ideal for you guys?
Right. So for us, we do have customers that are single outlet, what we call like gelato shops and all, and that itself have very little headcount. But we do see excellent use case when you're operating 2 shops or more. What I mean by that is that when you operate just 1 shop, sometimes you are really in the business, managing the rest of the team, and you don't feel that that's the biggest issue they're trying to work on at that point of time. If you have, of course, that additional bandwidth, to innovate at the front, we encourage you to do so. But usually we find the sweet spot when you have 2 outlets and more, where the management of hourly workers will start to take a toll of your time, your mental capacity, productivity, as well as start to make mistakes, and it becomes like a HR payroll disaster that Talenox will need to clean up. So for us, we usually serve businesses that are beyond 10 people at least 2 outlets kind of stuff. But we do have people that are single outlet, single kiosks that are using us at this juncture as well.
Excellent.
I think for Talenox, we don't go by outlet, we go by head count, right? So we serve anywhere from right now between 1 head count all the way to about 6,000 head count, right? Our entire client range. So for us, we don't really, because we serve SMEs, so our sweet spot, right, would definitely be in the 20 to 50 head count range, right? But also that's because that's when companies will realize the pain points of trying to do their payroll manually, so they can just simply adopt Talenox. But that being said, if you have less than 20 headcount, it doesn't mean that you can't use Talenox, because we actually have 2 kinds of plans. One is the free of charge plan. You don't pay a single cent, you still can calculate your payroll. And of course, the paid plan is where things really start to get very interesting. But I just want to add on that, while we can be used as a standalone solution, the best way to use Talenox, I feel, would actually be to use other solutions that we have integrations with, like StaffAny, right? And of course, like accounting solutions like Xero. Because when you start to use solutions that are integrated, they complement each other, you're able to push and pull data here and there easily. So yes, of course, there is a little bit of, it takes slightly longer to set up because you have multiple solutions, but long-term cost savings in terms of whatever time you save and all these, like, it really, really goes a long way for your business actually.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the cost savings, even though these solutions do have some sort of cost associated to them, I always find that they tend to be really, really worth it. Gentlemen, we are coming up to our time, so maybe we can start wrapping things up. Oh, Kenneth left us. So Jensen, any kind of closing remarks? And if anyone in the audience wants to send in any last minute questions, now is the time. So let me phrase it like this. So for me, one of the things that I've seen coming from the industry is this sense of sober optimism. So I think in the past there was a bit of pessimism, and then there was this, sense of optimism of technology will save us all, or we're going to be fine because we'll be all vaccinated and traveling in 2 days. And I think now we're at a stage of sober optimism. So if you agree with that, feel free, or disagree, feel free to let me know. But also kind of any words, any final recommendations or words of caution for anyone considering digital tools or finding ways to win in this new normal for F&B.
On my end, I totally echo your sentiment. I just had a call with another business owner just yesterday evening, and we chatted about how the new normal is difficult and different. But what I do see is that every one of you in the industry, in F&B, it's a tough industry to be in. But all of us here are like fighters, and we all are, school of hard knocks. We all, go through the hard way and we win, right, eventually. So what I wanted to share over here is that when we find out difficulties and we overcome them, the worst is over and we become stronger as businesses. We become more better in terms of unit economics, gross profit, impact, impacting the whole Singapore food and beverage scene or the world. What I would recommend over here is personal philosophy. I think that whenever we look at digitalization, when we look at a new solution or whatsoever, we always be skeptical about it doesn't work, or I'm not the use case of it. I always like to share this framework and mindset as well. Sometimes, if you try it, what's the worst that can happen? You can unsubscribe any of our solutions instantly. There's no lock-in period. Foodrazer, Talenox, StaffAny is monthly. In fact, if you come in for 2 to 3 months, more or less, we might also give you good privileges to just try it out. But what if it works out well, right? So that's my last statement to everyone else, right? What if it works out well? If it works out well, it pays off not only the mental, free up the mental space, allow you to concentrate on other things, do things more productively, more efficiently, increase your profits at the end of the day. what if it's really, really huge upside? And the downside is, at most you try for 2 months and it doesn't work. So I call upon people to just give it a shot and try it out.
I love it.
Definitely. Yeah. I guess that's a really, really good way to put it, right? You just give it a try, right? And I'm sure that, that 1-2 months of just trying out maybe a few hours a day will really help. But I think in terms of just the words of caution from my end, I would say don't jump on the bandwagon of wanting to digitize just because everybody around you is digitizing, because there are cases where people, they just jump on it. I want to digitize everything. And then, they get confused because there are so many things coming in. Can you imagine that if you're not using any solution, right, you suddenly jump into it, and then you have payroll, you have scheduling, you have invoicing, you have account. Everything comes at you at once. You're going to get so confused, right? It's going to take you a much longer time to get everything together, rather than someone who actually took maybe that 1 to 2 weeks to actually consolidate and sit down and say, okay, for scheduling, I have StaffAny. For food invoicing, I have Foodrazer. Accounting, payroll, all these, I have all these. So once you put all these together, you do your own research and you put everything together, right? You'll be able to identify the solutions that will be best fit for your business, and then from there you can then try it out, right? As what Jensen mentions, yeah.
Absolutely, I love that. And I would say, ask questions from the people that you're thinking of working with. How will your solution fit into the other things that I want to do? If I want to digitize my entire business, how will Foodrazer fit into that part of the equation? And who else can I work with? I think it's, we all have partners. We're partnering with StaffAny. I think we'll be announcing something with Talenox soon, I hope. And we'd be more we're not just trying to sell this product, but I think we also have this role of consultants for the F&B industry that wants to digitize. And we're very familiar with this space. It's not the biggest of spaces, especially in the back of house, right? So we all know each other. We're really able to help those F&Bs with those solutions. And I love that sentiment that Jensen said. Just give it a try. It can only help, and the chances are it is for you. And if it's not, then you really don't lose very much just by trying. But I do agree. It's give it a try and give it an honest try. I think that's going to be really important. Great. We are a little bit at time, 2 minutes over, but let me just a couple more seconds to say thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Jensen, for joining me this afternoon. I hope this was useful for anyone joining us as well. Please feel free to drop us a message over at Talenox, StaffAny, or here at Foodrazer, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.